You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
Good morning, and welcome to the Voice of Charity. I'm Phil Zepeda, here with my colleague, Katie Bredemann. Good morning, Katie.
Good morning, Phil.
We are delighted to be here with everyone listening on WNDZ, 750 AM, and those of you who are watching the live stream on YouTube and Facebook at Catholic Chicago, which is the account for the Archdiocese of Chicago. So, as many of you know already, Catholic Charities provides hot meals for up to 130 or more guests on Tuesday evenings at our Vincent Hall, which is located at 721 North LaSalle Street here in Chicago in the River North neighborhood. Our dedicated staff members are working with our incredibly generous volunteer corps to ensure that these meals are available and continue every Tuesday throughout the entire year. Now, it's a very powerful thing to witness as our guests, many of them homeless or nearly homeless or living on that fringe, arrive at Catholic Charities, weary of the serious challenges that they face in the world and their lives that they face every day. But they are able to leave nourished by a hot meal and energized by the respect and the kindness that they've received from this amazing team of people that's there who make these hot meals possible.
It really is one of the most inspiring nutrition programs at Catholic Charities, Phil. And here to tell us all about how the supper guests are faring this winter and also how the meal is progressing are two people who are actively involved in its success every week. Abigail Behrend is a very generous, dedicated volunteer to the Tuesday night supper program, and Melissa Lucas is interim director of volunteer engagement for Catholic Charities, and she supervises the many ways volunteers assist us in all of our work. Welcome, Abby and Melissa.
Hi, good morning.
Welcome. So glad to have you here. Melissa, let's start with you, my colleague here. Melissa, remind us and our audience about how and when hot meals started being served at St. Vincent Center at 721 North LaSalle Street for our guests.
Sure, Phil. So back in 1999, the city of Chicago had closed Lower Wacker Drive, and many of the homeless individuals moved to storefront doorways on Michigan Avenue and in the neighborhood around 721 North LaSalle Street, which is our Catholic Charities headquarters. So Catholic Charities administrators started working with other human service organizations, one being the Help Ease Local Poverty, or HELP, to assist these homeless individuals. As Catholic Charities became more involved in helping the homeless find shelter and more stable housing, our president and CEO at the time, Monsignor Michael Bolin, and our then Chief Program Officer, Kathy Donahue, they teamed up with a dynamic woman named Jackie Hayes, who was the founder of HELP, and together they came up with the idea to coordinate hot meals for the homeless at Catholic Charities at our St. Vincent Hall, which is there at our headquarters. In March 2001, HELP started serving hot meals on Wednesdays. Then Catholic Charities started the Tuesday night supper program. Soon after that, Holy Name Cathedral and Fourth Presbyterian Church, they were providing food and volunteers on the other weeknights so that we were able to serve those 130 to 150 guests Monday through Friday throughout the year. So we work with a lot of neighborhood restaurants who often generously supply our meals. We work with volunteers, parishes, individuals, not only to help serve the meals, but to sometimes also sponsor those meals that we're providing on a weekly basis. We offer the meals in a sit-down capacity. We also offer them to go. So we're just so grateful to everyone who makes this program possible and that we're able to continue to serve those hot meals on a nightly basis.
So it's incredible because it's the collaboration points to pull off these meals and the suppers is just tremendous. Melissa, talk to us a little about this holistic approach that happens at these meals. While guests are having dinner and visiting with their friends, Catholic Charities is able to offer them additional assistance too. So talk a little bit about that and share those elements.
Yeah, that's so important. So not only do our guests receive the hot, nutritious meal, we also have our case managers that are on site during the meal service so that they can speak with them about other Catholic Charities programs and services that they might not know about, so that we can offer some extra help, whether that's maybe job training, help finding a job, financial assistance, maybe any services that they might need for their own children or within their family. So we're able to offer them not only the hot meal, but also access to very valuable services.
It's really amazing that here we are more than 20 years later, and every single weeknight, anyone who is homeless or nearly homeless or just struggling in any way knows that that hot meal is going to be offered at 721 North LaSalle in our Vincent Hall. And it's such to me, a beautiful story of neighborhood cooperation, but also, as you said, Melissa and Phil, it's a story of tremendous dedication by the restaurants and the volunteers who make that happen. Can I ask Melissa, how much in advance do you need to plan to make sure that there is going to be that food and those volunteers ready every Tuesday afternoon for Catholic Charities?
Yeah, our teams, led by Enrique Alonso and Sharon Tillman, they really do a fantastic job making sure that there's a hot meal every Tuesday and every other weeknight. They work for weeks behind the scenes, making sure that we have restaurant donors, that we have recruited enough volunteers to be with us on every night. On occasion, they are prepping the food, they're setting up the dining hall, they are serving the guests, they're participating in cleanup. So it really is a full operation. And so they do a lot behind the scenes to make sure that our guests have a positive, welcoming experience, but also, doing all the prep work ahead of time to make sure that we're ready to go night after night.
Again, it's that it takes a village approach, right? The collaboration points are just incredible that it takes to pull this off. Melissa, talk to us a little bit about the neighborhood partners, the restaurant partners specifically, who've been so supportive of these Tuesday night suppers in recent years. We are located, when we say this, 721 North LaSalle. That's in Chicago's River North neighborhood. It's the near north side. There's plenty of restaurants that are around us, and several of them do step up. Who's notable?
We've worked for many years with Carrymen Restaurant, Rosebud, Sabaro, Ballyhoo, Hutch American Bistro, Fight to Feed. They are really our longtime partners who believe in this mission, who support our mission, and who want to be a part of our solution of providing that hot, nutritious meal to the guests that we serve every night. So we're so grateful to them that they donate their food, their staff, their prep time to help us be able to accomplish this goal.
That's wonderful. So we're going to take a break right here. When we come back, we're going to have more with Melissa and Abby talking about the meal distributions and Tuesday night suppers that happen at 720 North LaSalle, Vincent Hall for Catholic Charities. You're listening to The Voice of Charity on WNDZ and Catholic Chicago.
Join Catholic Charities on Sunday, February 5th for the Divine Affair, one of the premier wine tasting events in Chicago. Sample and purchase wines and craft beers from around the world. Attend a wine appreciation and beer tasting seminar while you enjoy gourmet hors d'oeuvres and fabulous desserts. A spectacular silent auction and raffle are included as well. All proceeds benefit Catholic Charities programs and services that have anyone in need throughout Cook and Lake counties. Purchase your Divine Affair tickets online today at catholiccharities.net/divine. Our thanks to Louis Glunz Wines and the Joseph Glunz family for their generous support of Divine Affair.
always say, how can you spend your day with 3-year-olds? Seeing the changes that they go through and just the journey and how they grow, this is a very rewarding job. Even though at the end of the day, we're not the highest paid people on earth. And when I have a parent contact me and say, my child loves school, that to me, I'm setting that foundation for their love of learning, because really you are changing lives, you are molding lives.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at artchicago.org/schooljobs.
Did you know that Catholic Charities accepts car donations? If you're ready to free up space in your garage and put a stop to all those expenses that go along with owning a car, we will gratefully accept your donation, whether the car is running or not. You choose a pickup time that is convenient for you, and we will make the donation as easy as possible, free of charge. You'll receive a charitable donation receipt as well. We accept all types of vehicles nationwide, and you will know that your donation is made to Catholic Charities, an agency you can trust. To learn more about donating your car, call 877-786-4483. That's 877-786-4483. Thank you.
Welcome back to The Voice of Charity. I'm Katie Bredemann here in the studio today with Phil Zepeda, and today we're talking about the Tuesday night supper program at Catholic Charities 721 North LaSalle building that's been going for over 20 years, providing a hot meal to more than 130 guests every single Tuesday evening. And because of our neighborhood partnerships, we're able to provide a hot meal 5 nights a week, every weeknight, to any homeless or nearly homeless guests. Anyone who's struggling and facing food insecurity can find that hot meal in our Vincent Hall. And before the break, I should share it also that we're here with Melissa Lucas, who's Catholic Charities Interim Director of Volunteer Engagement, and also Abby Behrend, who's a very dedicated volunteer to that Tuesday night supper program. And before the break, Abby, we were talking about how absolutely crucial volunteers have been to the success of this program over the past 20 plus years. And you are one of them. Can I ask how long you've been volunteering for Catholic Charities?
I started actually probably right before COVID, and clearly when the world shut down, the program altered and shifted a bit. And I started up again probably a little over a year ago. But there have been volunteers that have been doing this throughout even the pandemic. I was in the kitchen for a little bit. We have a shop downstairs in the basement that has clothing and other supplies that our clients would need. So I was kind of bouncing around between those places, but I didn't get back into the dinners until, again, about a year ago. And I've been doing it ever since.
We're so grateful for the time that you carve out in your own busy schedule. And may I ask, do you work outside the home?
I do. I'm a massage therapist and I do voiceovers. So I'm able to make sure that my schedule matches my Catholic Charities schedule. So for my Tuesday nights, I don't have things going on. I make sure that that is something that is part of my weekly routine. And the rest of the volunteers that we have that are more regular volunteers that we see every Tuesday, most of them, some of them come and go, some of them, a lot of them are retired. We have a couple ladies that this is what they do each week. And we have a couple people that, when they can come, they come. And when they have other things going on, we see them in a couple weeks. So
it's still a commitment of your time. And we're very, very grateful.
So Abby, let's unpack a little bit more about the production of these suppers and meal distribution. Pulling it together with volunteers for 130, 100, 150 folks on a regular basis who come to the meals. How many volunteers are you working with, and do you know the volunteers ahead of time? And how do you figure out who's doing what? Help paint the picture for our listeners of what's going on here.
First of all, really good word. It is definitely a production. And we never know what we're walking into. Right. So we know that we can always count on Joe. There was a picture of Joe in the kitchen. He's always there. And when he's not, we've got some scrambling to do. But Joe is always in the back, making sure things are run smoothly, along with Eddie and Jose. And those three, I can't speak enough of what they do. They make sure the tables are set, the waters are filled, everything is kind of preset for the next crew of volunteers that come in. And that next crew is typically anywhere from 3 people to 20 people. And again, we really don't know what we're going to get because things come up. It's kind of like what you were talking about with people having jobs outside of the home and other commitments and families. Some people show up, some people can't, people get sick. So we have days where it's Joe, Jose, Eddie, myself. We have our fearless leader, Patricia, who's usually there every Tuesday as well. But then we have a spattering of people as well. Claire and Anne and, Mike. There's people that come and go, but we can always count on a good 4 people. But when you think about serving over 150 meals, sometimes that gets a little dicey. So it really takes a lot of focus, and there's usually one person who kind of takes charge and says, okay, this is what we need to do. You're on coffee distribution, you're on meal distribution. Like I said, we always have Joe in the kitchen. So we know that we've got our meal ready to go whenever we need it to go. But it's really, sometimes we have groups coming in, and that always helps. It's actually interesting because sometimes when we have smaller groups of volunteers, it's a little easier because it's not too many cooks in the kitchen. But when you only have about 3 or 4 people, it gets a little crazy. But it's a good group of people that we can always count on, at least 4 or 5 people that are there ready to go. But it really, you walk into not knowing what you're going to see.
Abby, is it ever a human resource challenge, like you don't have enough people? And, I'm using this as an opportunity to promote, if people want to help out with meals, we'll direct them of how to help, but help paint that picture a little bit more too. What does the threshold look like as far as the number of people that you have on a regular basis?
Absolutely. So good example, the Tuesday after Christmas. From what I heard, Christmas had a ton of volunteers, which is so nice. We were there, my husband and I went for Thanksgiving. There were over, I think, 100 volunteers. And I was told the same thing happened for Christmas. So it's always nice to know dates like that. People really want to come out and help.
Sure.
But it's those random Tuesdays where, Tuesday after Christmas, everybody was traveling, people got ill. We literally had 3 people. It was myself, it was Eddie, and it was Jose. And I don't believe Joe was even there because I think Joe was helping with, I know, right? Where's Joe? But he was helping with another volunteer organization where they were getting gifts wrapped for kids. So there were 3 of us, and we did pull in a couple staff members. I think there were 2 staff members that stepped in, Fred and LaToya. But you really have to be prepared for putting on a smile and making sure you're doing your job as fast as you can. And I will say the clients that come in are so wonderful. And most of the time they see that there's 4 of us running around like chickens with our head cuts off, and they're patient and they understand. And I remember that particular day, there's a regular client of ours, Cal. He's tall, very, very tall guy. He's always walking in with fluorescent clothes and he always has a hat on, and he's so warm and friendly. And there was a gentleman who was kind of snapping his fingers and he's like, I need coffee. And Cal stands up and he's like, do you see that there's only 3 of them? So it was really wonderful. It becomes a very family atmosphere, and everybody had a good laugh about it. But I mean, you're getting your steps in, let's put it that way.
Well, I can share with everyone that if anyone in our audience is interested in learning about volunteering, either individually or as a family or as a school group or a parish or a bunch of neighbors together, you can go to ccofchicagovolunteer.com, and we update our volunteer opportunities there every week. You can also call 312-655-7053 and just express your willingness, and we would be so welcome and so happy to have you join this very, very positive experience on our Tuesday night suppers.
Great. We're going to throw it to break right now. When we come back, more with Melissa and Abby talking about this wonderful work that happens around meal sharing and meal prep for Tuesday night suppers at Catholic Charities. We'll be right back. You're listening to The Voice of Charity.
Catholic Charities invites you to First Look for Charity, an extraordinary black tie evening at McCormick Place on Friday, February 10th. Enjoy an elegant, private reception and be among the first to explore the latest in automotive innovation at the Chicago Auto Show. Your ticket also gives you the chance to win either a 2023 Honda CR-V or a 2023 Subaru Crosstrek. As you register, please select Catholic Charities so a portion of your ticket purchase benefits those we serve. Join us at First Look for Charity on Friday, February 10th. Visit CatholicCharities.net to get your tickets today.
I am a seminarian.
The church needs compassionate and well-trained priests to help guide each of us through life.
What inspires me, what draws me always to the priesthood is continue to see priests be a beacon of hope for other people.
You can play a part in the education of these young men as they prepare for a life of service to others.
I want to be that beacon of hope too, and it sets my heart on fire.
To support our seminarians, make your gift at archchicago.org/seminarian fund or call 312-534-7959.
Catholic Charities Refugee Resettlement Program has been especially busy this year, assisting individuals and families who have fled dangerous situations in their homeland, including Afghanistan and the Ukraine. The Refugee Resettlement Team helps with everything they need to start to rebuild their lives in a new country, including housing, employment, clothing, food, English classes, and referrals for legal and immigration services. The refugees are tremendously grateful for the compassion and practical help they're receiving, and they're giving back and helping each other plan for a brighter, safer future. Volunteer opportunities are currently available for those who would like to be family mentors and tutors, so children and adults can practice English. To learn more about these rewarding opportunities, call 312-655-7096. That's 312-655-7096. Hello, we're back for the Voice of Charities, talking with our wonderful guests, Melissa Lucas, who is the Interim Director of Volunteer Engagement at Catholic Charities, and one of our great volunteers, Abby Behrendt, who helps out and is actually a point and a lead for our Tuesday night suppers. We're glad to have you here on the show. We're going to want to hear some more client stories as you thread those through some of these answers. But I'd love to hear in just some of the operations of these Tuesday night suppers, which I volunteered for in the past myself. Are there do's and don'ts that surface around making sure that everything goes as planned or as best as possible on Tuesday nights?
Yes, definitely. To bring some humor into it, I guess, we set out our meals ahead of time, and we always know you have to make sure that all of the Sprites get with the to-go boxes and all of the Cokes are left for the dine-in guests. Because if you don't do that, you have some issues at the tables because somebody wants Sprite and somebody wants Coke, and then you have to deal with that.
That's remarkable.
Big don't.
No, that's a very simple thing that you wouldn't think of ahead of time, but it helps to streamline it and keep everybody happy. But on a more serious note, can we ask you both to weigh in a little bit on what the greatest concerns are of our clients this winter? Obviously, these are challenging weeks with just staying warm and having the right clothing for that, and gloves and hats, all these basic needs. But I'm sure there's other, concerns on their minds. What's the atmosphere there where everybody, first, what are the concerns that you're hearing this winter from our clients, and then what's the atmosphere of support that tries to give everybody a little bit of a shot in the arm while they're having their meal? Melissa, can we start with you?
Sure. I'll say, I think you mentioned it, Katie. Some of their biggest concerns right now, especially as we're going into the winter time, is just warmth. And being able to stay healthy also right now during the winter season. I think the benefit of being at Catholic Charities and serving the meal is that they do have access to other services that we're able to help provide for them. And that they have that sense of belonging and a sense of family, kind of as Abby mentioned too, right? Like we were short on volunteers, but the guests stood up for the volunteers who were running the operation. So I think just having that that safety net helps them able to navigate some of the other challenges that they're experiencing outside of the time when they're at Catholic Charities for their meal.
Beautifully said, Melissa. Anything to add to that, Abby?
I think, one of the big things is we don't realize sometimes they're getting their basic needs fulfilled with Catholic Charities. They're getting their food, they're getting some of their clothing, which is lovely. But I think the big thing is, how many times do you walk down the street and you see someone asking for money and people just walk past and you're ignored completely? And I think this is an opportunity for them that we are fulfilling a need that is even greater, where it's human dignity. It's calling a person by their name. It's saying, "Hi, Cal, it's nice to see you today. I look forward to seeing you next week." It's recognizing someone who has an issue that they talked about with you the prior week. You remember it, you bring it up, you see how they're doing, you follow up. It gives them a sense of, they're human and they deserve that respect and that dignity and that attention. And I don't think that you get that all the time if you're homeless, if you're on the street. So this is a chance for them, yes, to get a hot meal, yes, to get a hat and a scarf to help with the winter months, but it's also acknowledgement of who they are as a person.
Beautifully said.
Beautifully said. And it's just that reminder of that holistic approach. This is not just meal distribution. It's community, and it's accompanying individuals that are just looking for all different forms of comfort as they try and survive, and we can hopefully put them on a path to thrive, right? So that this is just wonderful work. We should mention that in addition to all this case management that happens, one of Catholic Charities' most creative programs ever started at Tuesday night suppers. It's called After Supper Visions. And in this program, we offer guests the opportunity to grow in their skills as photographers, using digital cameras that we give them. We invite everybody in our audience to visit AfterSupperVisions.com, AfterSupperVisions.com, to learn more about this fabulous program. That's just another way for us to show respect and support and dignity for every guest that we meet.
Absolutely. And I wish we had more time. We could talk to both of you all day because it's really inspiring to hear how involved you are, not only in making sure the Tuesday night supper goes well, but that each of these clients feels the warmth and the friendship from Catholic Charities. So we thank you so much for all you do to keep this program running and to keep it going along in tandem with our neighborhood partners. Right, Phil?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Abby and Melissa, for joining us so much. You've helped us all better appreciate how essential this program is to fighting hunger in Chicago and reminding our guests that Catholic Charities cares about them and wants to help them on an ongoing basis. So thank you both.
Thanks again, Melissa and Abby.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And we invite all of you back again next week for another edition of The Voice of Charity. For now, this is Katie Bredemann with Phil Zepeda. And we thank you for tuning in and believing in the mission of Catholic Charities.
Join us every Monday through Friday at this time for Catholic Chicago. You can stream our programs live or listen to past programs by visiting our website, archchicago.org, and clicking on Radio TV. And please connect with Catholic Chicago on social media.